When you look at everything you have to learn and do in order to have a successful coaching business, do you ever feel a bit overwhelmed with it all? Or like it's a bit bigger than you are? And you wonder if you can really do it all to create the income that you want so that you can have the lifestyle that you envision for yourself? Well, believe me, so have I. And what I found is it comes down to how willing you are to take full 100% responsibility and sovereignty and ownership over every area of your life, especially your income. I'm Laura Lee Humphreys, and in this episode of Faces of Freedom TV, I'll be sharing with you some insights that I learned in getting beyond these struggling mindsets so that I could have more freedom to create the life that I wanted. So listen in, because what I'll be sharing with you of what I learned can help you shift your perspective and mindset so that you too can create a life that you love through a home business lifestyle. So I spent a lot of years when I was younger being in this space where I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself, a lot of self-esteem. I had a really hard time standing up for myself and speaking up, coming from a very disempowered place, even feeling like a victim to things a lot. And this showed up a lot in my ability, or lack thereof, to generate an income that I wanted for myself, let alone a type of life that I wanted. So I wanted to really understand how was it that I ended up in this place of feeling so disempowered and small? Because I knew I'm not the only one, and you may be in a similar place too. So in getting beyond all that, then I did a lot of studying and looking at things, thinking about things, meditating. And what that led me to is looking at a lot of dynamics and social conditioning that we are all brought up in, of how this particular social dynamic that we live in encourages even and teaches people to not be empowered and strong and confident. So I want to break down this a little bit for you today in hopes that it can give you a greater perspective, as it did me, so that I could understand what's going on, understand the dynamics of this culture that I was living in, so I didn't take it so personally, in hopes that by sharing this, that you can do the same. So I'm going to start with sharing what I call the history of enslavement. And when I was looking at the dynamics and understanding history of the Western civilization, then this became very pronounced for me, and it was a big light bulb moment. And it really helped put a lot of things in perspective, and so I hope it does for you too. So let's go back in the day, way back in the day, when society was structured around what the gods wanted humanity to do. There was a lot of control, manipulation about what people could or could not believe, their ethics and ways that they interacted with each other, with themselves, based upon what the gods taught and wanted. So whenever the gods were fighting each other, then they would recruit humanity to doing their wars and killing each other for the wars and disputes of the gods. Okay, so that was one dynamic. And then fast forward many hundreds of years, then we have the rise of religion. And this added another dynamic to society, and it also very much structured how people lived, what they believed, how they interacted with each other, how they believed about themselves. Especially when you look at the history of the Christian or Catholic religions, there was a lot taught to people about being guilty for this or that, feeling that they're sinners, that they can't do this or that, so that they don't make God angry or the church angry, that they had to repent, that they were sinners. A lot of disempowering messages. Okay, so again, people couldn't really decide much for themselves, and instead they were told by these outside structures or authorities that they're bad in one way or another. Okay, then fast forward again, and we have the development of governments and the aristocracies, the royal family line, especially in Europe. Here we have another layer of control, of outside authority, of other people setting themselves up as an authority over the masses of people, telling them what they wanted the masses of humanity to do and believe and live in a way that would benefit the few who are running the religions, the governments, and the people in these aristocracy families. So, again, telling people what they couldn't do, how to live, how to treat each other, how to view themselves. And that carried over further forward in time when it came to owning land, whether or not you even could, where the aristocracy or the nobility were the only people who could own land. And so all of the common folk working the land for years, their whole life, but they never had any ownership of it. So can you imagine what that would do to your confidence and sense of empowerment over your life? It's not that great. So I'm sure you're starting to get a theme or a sense, a trend here. There's always been these outside structures of society, of authority, telling people how to live and how to think, making decisions for them rather than allowing humanity and the common person to learn how to make those decisions for themselves. Now we fast forward a little bit more in time when we have the rise of banking, commerce, corporations, trading from one country to another. Again, another dynamic now financially, economically, of what is and is not available to the common person. What choices they have in their life as to how they can make it better or not. Whether or not they're going to be living a life of servitude, of poverty, of struggle, or of more affluence and opportunity because they happen to be in a family who's in commerce and trade. Then this led us forward again in time to about 100 years ago or so when the Industrial Revolution took hold. And again, it's still now very politically driven, economically driven by banks, corporations, big business, again, outside authorities setting themselves up into a situation to where they can dictate over the masses of people what they want the masses of people to do to benefit the agendas of these smaller groups of people who are running the governments, the banks, the corporations, the financial structures, the religions. So during the Industrial Revolutionary times, there was this big, huge push to take people off of the land to where they could be less self-sustaining, moving them into cities, into apartments, living like an anthill very close together to go work for a paycheck in a factory. And that led to a whole change of society and structure of how people did things. And it also set up the situation to how we have our society now, where we're taught, go to school, get good grades, get a job in a corporation so that you can have security, but not, because we know that's a lie anymore. And so all of these societal structures that we're living in now are a result of all of this past history, of these layering of pieces, one structure at a time, at a time, at a time. All of this outside authority and other people telling the common person like you and me how to live, what you can and can't do, how you're to view yourself as less than and not with a lot of opportunity or more poor, or you don't have the financial means because only a few can have access to all that financial wealth and abundance, and if you're born into it or just happen to strike it rich in some opportunity. So all of these messages that we've gotten in society down through these ages and the generations, all of that comes into play today with how we do our life. And so we see a lot of these societal structures like media, government, politics, the finances, Wall Street, big bank corporations, education systems, healthcare, all of these things that are now a bit out of control because they've had free reign for several hundreds of years to run and dictate and dominate society. and now they're corrupt to the core, and now we see them also starting to crumble down and fall away. Which leads us into a very interesting time today, because it's pushing us in a good way to learn how to stand up for ourselves and to develop greater responsibility and sovereignty over our health, our mindset, our self-concept, and most especially our income, which dictates and influences every area of how we live our life. So I saw all this and I was like, wow, this is really big stuff. It's no wonder then, when I am going out to build my business, learning how to create greater financial solvency and intelligence for myself, to stand up for myself, to sell, to interact with people, that's really coming out from underneath all of this social conditioning that humanity has lived under for a very long time. It's like going against the grain of all of this stuff that we've been taught. So I invite you, in your situation with your life and creating your business and some of the things that you're struggling with, look at this and recognize how this has shown up for you. That you too are coming out from underneath all of this conditioning, this history of enslavement, I call it. And now, because of how life is, your inner drive of, I need to share this message with people. I also need to develop this financial security and stability for myself to create a life that I want, this business that's solvent for me. That's challenging all of this old programming, old societal conditioning that we've had for hundreds of years. And so it can make it feel like it's very challenging to learn a new thing, because you're coming out from all of this stuff from the past. And yet, the opportunity for what our current times are offering us in becoming entrepreneurs is, it's inviting us and calling us to step into a much greater, higher level of emotional maturity and spiritual development. It's pushing us to evolve so that we can step into taking full ownership, full responsibility for every area of our life, especially when it comes to how we generate our income. I don't know about you, but for me, one of the biggest challenges that I've struggled with for a long time is to really be able to take full ownership of being 100% responsible for my income. Not relying upon an outside source, whether that be a man, a spouse, a father, parent figure, a job, a corporation, a bank, a government, a religious structure, none of those outside things. To really be able to stand on my own 2 feet and tap into the strength, the empowerment, the confidence, the knowingness of myself that is inherent within me as a spiritual being, to create life on my terms. And that's what I'm inviting you to do and to consider with what I'm sharing with you today. How is your life situation and your desire to have a successful coaching business pushing you into this next level of spiritual and emotional growth for you? And how is it going for you? Okay, so as I do with every video, then I offer you some downloadable resource guides. And so with this one, it's no different. And so the download for this video is I'm offering you a meditative exercise, a guide to walk you through, to support you in letting go of and shifting some of all of this societal conditioning that we've inherited for generations. Because it is indeed deep, and it is buried and stored within the tissues of our bodies. So when we go to make new habits, new actions, we bump up against all of that old conditioning of what our bodies have been carrying and what our bodies know. Therefore, that's what makes it, one of the reasons what makes it difficult to make new habits is because we've got all of that old patterning, that old conditioning to transform and retrain our body in. So the download resource guide will support you in doing that. So I encourage you to get that. The link is here below by the video. So grab that. And if you would like some more insights into how you can move forward, get on the other side of some of this social conditioning, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to share some of the things that I've learned in my 25 years of experience in doing this inner work, and some of the tools and resources and gifts of plants that I talk about frequently to support you in being able to do that and to retrain your body. Okay. So another thing that I want to share with you on this video is a solution. So in order to really come out from all of this conditioning, it's requiring us to think about our lives, to think about ourselves, to think about what it means to be human on this planet and to live in a whole new way. And to redefine a lot of things that we've taken for granted and how life is structured. You know, there's an old quote by Albert Einstein, you may have heard of it as well. In essence, that he says, we cannot solve the problems of today with the same level of mind that created those problems. So when you look about the things that you're confronted with in your own life and with your own business, as well as society at large, and the things that you see that you want to contribute a solution for, as to why you're even a coach, and the message that you want to share with people to help them, uplift them out of their situations, then take this into consideration, that we have to draw upon a higher level of mind to find the answers, as well as to lead us into ourselves so that we can discover and tap into the strength, the fortitude, the empowerment, the persistence, the commitment, all of that we need to step forward to create a life and a business that we need, that we want, that we desire, and one that will be much more sustainable for society for generations to come. So that leads me to this other concept of, in order to do that, you cannot do this by yourself. Not only can you not do it by yourself in terms of being the Lone Ranger, solo entrepreneur trying to carve out your business online, you have to use a team. Draw upon the resources and help and support of other people. It's a community. You know, this is a situation of shifting societal values and structures. We do this in community with other people, in being in relationship and collaborating with them, learning how to communicate, learning how to talk through our differences and our issues and stuff when our things get triggered, the old conditioning gets triggered for each other. Learning how to resolve all of that stuff so that we can move forward and create a life and a society that we desire. So know that, be open to creating your world, your business in community with others. When a lot of people come together, then the sum total of their mind, their resources is greater than the individual, as I'm sure you've probably heard. And that ties into this other concept of higher mind, is draw upon the higher spiritual mind, the infinite intelligence that made your body, the infinite intelligence that made this planet, that made nature, of spirit or source or God, or however you define that higher consciousness as being. Tap into that and recognize that that is what breathes you. That is the intelligence that made your body and that heals your body. That is the intelligence that gave you the spark, the interest, the desire to even have a coaching business. Tap into that higher divine intelligence for the answers that you require to assist you in moving out from underneath so much of the societal programming, so that you can find the strength, the integrity, the intestinal fortitude, the confidence to step into fully owning your life, to fully owning that you and you alone can and will be the sole source of your income, to draw back your power and stop giving it away to all of these societal structures that have taken it from you for generations. All the corporations, the banking, the religious, the governmental, all of those things that want to say that they can tell you how to live and how to think. Unplug from that and say, no, I can be a sovereign of my own life and especially of my own income. And that's what my business is providing me the opportunity to do. And in doing so, I choose to really step into my own emotional and spiritual growth and evolution to become a much grander, larger, greater, more powerful being than I currently am. So that is my thought that I'm leaving for you today. I encourage you to step into this, and also to let you know that my business, Faces of Freedom, is all about this, of creating this community, this team, this tribe of people just like you who want to have a successful online business with its coaching, as well as being able to provide you the structures and the support to create your own income, standing on your own 2 feet, not beholden or to be dependent upon anyone else for your financial base, your financial security. Having that shifts everything and can offer you such a sense of empowerment that you may not even recognize yourself 5 years from now. So if you'd like to know more about how I structure my business and even to be a part of that, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to share how I do my business in creating this community and tribe. Also, make sure you grab my downloadable resource guide of Shifting Your State meditation exercise to support you in shifting through some of the doubts, the fears, the old beliefs that we've inherited that has told us of how small we are supposed to be. Okay? So did you like this video? What did you find most valuable in it? What stood out the most for you? I would love to hear. And I would love to know what some of the things you do to come out from underneath a lot of the social generational conditioning so that you can be more empowered with your income and your business as well. So like this video, subscribe to my channel, share the video. Each week I give you another resource of how and tips of how you can create a life that you love through a home business lifestyle. You can also find me at my website, lauraleehumphreys.com, and on Facebook under Laura Lee Humphreys, as well as Faces of Freedom. So until next time, step into your strength and your sovereignty and full ownership of your life and especially your income. Take care.